and welcome to my OCR A-Level Biology revision session with me, Christine. So today's lesson, I want to look at the coordination of response, specifically your fight or flight response. So this is Module 5, Animal Response. So the fight or flight response then, what is that? Well, it's exactly as it is called. You are either going to fight or you are going to flight or run away. So what's actually happening to cause this? Well, when there's a threat that's been detected by your autonomic nervous system, what's going to happen is that your hypothalamus is going to communicate with two systems. It's going to communicate with your sympathetic nervous system, neuronal communication, and is going to communicate with the adrenal cortical system, the hormonal communication. So what's actually happening then? Let's just remind ourselves about this autonomic nervous system. So it's a subconscious control, involuntary physiological activity, and it's split into our parasympathetic system, where we want the relaxing response, acetylcholine, and the sympathetic nervous system, which is to do with increasing activity. And that is where the neurotransmitter that is released is noradrenaline. Now, both the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system both have a effect on the effectors. So the smooth muscles and the glands are going to respond based on the signals that have been sent from either the parasympathetic system or the sympathetic system. Now we're talking about the fight or flight response. So we're activating our sympathetic nervous system. So we are releasing noradrenaline as the neurotransmitter, and that is going to cause an effect on the smooth muscles and the glands. And what it also does, if we look at one specific gland and we look at the adrenal gland, what it will do is it will signal for the adrenal gland to secrete from the medulla adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is the hormone that's going to increase the heart rate. It's going to rapidly increase the blood glucose levels. It's going to stimulate glycogenolysis. Not only does the medulla release adrenaline, it also releases noradrenaline. Now, noradrenaline, the neurotransmitter, and noradrenaline that is released from the medulla are the same molecules. It's just about where they're coming from. So the sympathetic nervous system is the neurotransmitter noradrenaline. When we're talking about it from the adrenal gland, we're talking about it as a hormone, noradrenaline. So again, it's going to increase the heart rate, widen the pupils, widen the airways, narrow the blood vessels in the non-essential organs. So let's look at what actually happens then when adrenaline is released from the adrenal gland. Remember the medulla of the adrenal gland. It is going to be transported in the bloodstream until it gets to its target tissue and target cell. Now, adrenaline is the first messenger. It's hydrophilic, so it cannot pass through the phospholipid bilayer. So what needs to happen is that needs to bind to receptors on the surface of the liver, and it will trigger a chain of reactions. Now, it will not only do this at the liver, we're going to talk about the liver right now, but it will also do it on any cell. This triggering of a chain of reaction is specific to the cells in which it is going to activate. So what's important that you note is that when the adrenaline binds to that receptor, what's going to happen is an enzyme which is inside adenylyl cyclase is going to be activated. And this is going to convert ATP to cyclic AMP. Now, ATP is adenosine triphosphate. AMP is adenosine monophosphate. And what that means is that the ATP is going to be hydrolyzed down into this cyclic AMP. Now, cyclic AMP is known as a secondary messenger because that is going to then activate other enzymes. And these other enzymes are known as protein kinases. And in the case of glycogenolysis, what we're talking about is this protein kinase is going to convert the glycogen to glucose. So we're going to activate enzymes, these protein kinases, and they are going to therefore break down the glycosidic bonds, hydrolyzing the glycogen down into glucose. Now that's going to increase the blood glucose levels. Why is that important? Well, by increasing the blood glucose levels, what we're therefore doing is providing the glucose to the muscle cells so that cellular respiration can occur. If cellular respiration can occur, more ATP can be produced. Therefore, muscles can contract and a faster rate, and therefore that allows for you to have the necessary strength to fight or the necessary energy to run away, to flight. So that's the function of adrenaline. Now, there are other physiological responses which are connected to that sympathetic nervous system and the hormonal communication from the cortical response. So things like your pupils will dilate, therefore it is much light as possible for you to be able to see and assess the danger. You've got an increase in the heart rate where you're going to have a higher frequency of impulses from the sinoatrial node. Also, it's going to signal for an increased blood pressure, a greater stroke volume, more blood being pumped around the body, therefore supplying the necessary oxygen and glucose for respiration to occur. Well, if we need oxygen, we therefore need to dilate our bronchioles. We need to increase the airflow to the alveoli. We need to increase the breathing rate. So therefore, we need our intercostal muscles to be contracting more so we can get more air being transported in the bloodstream via the hemoglobin to the necessary cells so that they can do aerobic respiration. We obviously want to increase that blood flow to the muscles, so we're going to vasodilate so that we're ensuring that this blood flow is directed to the muscles where we want them to be doing the contraction. And we want to decrease the blood flow to other areas like the gut. We don't want to waste energy on unnecessary processes that can be done at a later date. So the physiological responses that come from the fight or flight response is connected with this communication, which is a neuronal communication. We're talking about our sympathetic nervous system and hormonal communication, the two working in conjunction to enable the organism to survive. So I hope you've liked this video, and if you have, then please do click on my like button and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already done so, please do check out my revision platform, www.aiqchat.com.